Hey ladies, I am so excited that you are going to join me for a few minutes of joy. It's been an unfolding morning and I want to share with you kind of this anatomy of this joy challenge. And I am so excited about this, like from my soul. So this weekend, I started noticing this pattern over the last few months, but this weekend I was kind of in it. You know how you get in a pattern before you even realize something's happening and you're in it. So I noticed that I've got these cool things happening. We got this big event in April that's fantastic, and amazing miracles are happening on the back end with this, with women, with sponsors, with the speakers we have, with the people participating. It's been amazing. And at the same time, I started feeling this cloud, like this thing sort of descending. And I don't know how to explain it, but I know you know what I'm talking about, where there's this sort of cloud of self-doubt, or you start, different things come to mind and you start kind of going down these paths that don't make you feel that great, and you're like, I don't know how to get out of this, and you're doing all these good things to try to not be in it, but it's like, it's just kind of this, it's not stopping you from living, but it's enough that it's not helping you move forward in the best way possible. And so I noticed that this weekend. What was amazing is this morning, and even last night, I started doing some things that just little thoughts would come to mind, like finish reading that book. So I've started finishing the Big Leap, and I started reading that a while ago, and I loved it. It's fantastic. If you haven't read it, read it. But I started reading this where I'd left off and a little bit earlier, and this chapter was just what I needed, and being able to help me see that I was just pushing back against going to this next level, and that it made total sense. So then once I kind of listened to those little, now watch for the patterns. Once I was listening to those little feeling thoughts that were coming, and I paid attention and I did them, then I started going to the next thing and the next thing. And this morning, it was just this unfolding of these little feeling thoughts of joy. So I kind of went to the next thing. And this morning was, one of the things he had said in that book last night was, he did different routines to sort of differentiate how he was going to push to this next level. And one of them was, he did some free thinking. I thought, oh, that's nice, and skipped on to the next thing. But this morning when I woke up, instead of just jumping right to my regular routine, I just laid there with a little notepad and pen and just started letting myself free think. Well, that led me to start thinking about what I wanted to talk about at this conference, because I'm going to be presenting. And of course, I'm talking about joy. But it made me start thinking about joy and the anatomy of joy and what does that look like. And I'm a joyful person. I've thought about joy for years. I know the importance of it, and I love it. And I feel like I try to practice that. But I don't know how to describe this profound level that it just helped me go to, of these feelings that I've had of joy is a power, and it's a powerful tool. And then it led me to this feeling of, what does that look like? Why is it such a powerful tool? And then I had this beautiful epiphany of, why is it that women, we don't value joy, we don't take it seriously, we think it's something to do after the dishes are done and the kids are all down and everything's good. And why is it that it's this extra? And yet it's such a pivotal thing. And there's a scripture that I love that says, Adam fell that men might be, and men are that they might have joy. And I've always wondered, why doesn't it say happiness? Why doesn't it say peace or fulfillment? Why does it say joy? And then it hit me that in order to share the fruit, we have to partake of the fruit first. So we have to be the ones that feel the joy. And what happens when you feel that joy? What happens when you feel or experience something that brings you that true joy? Your first desire after you feel that is to what? It's to share. And that's how I felt. And so I started paying attention this morning, and I thought, I am going to actively seek joy. So I put a little sticky note right next to my bed. It said seek. And then I thought, I don't want to just seek it and then it's gone. I want to seek and savor it. So I put seek and savor on this little sticky note and went about my morning. And as I was intentional about choosing joy, because it is a choice, and I'll talk more about that another time, but choosing joy, I couldn't believe all of the joyful moments I already had this morning. They were subtle, they were small, but they added up, and it filled my soul with these little joy choices. So for example, I woke up and I was like, you know what? I was going to do my routine, and I laid there with free thinking, and my little guy was next to me and he cuddled in, and I was just snuggling with him. So I just snuggled with him, joy. Then I thought, oh, my daughter is going to wake up and she has some anxiety. So I'm going to just start her day with cuddling her and stroking her arm. So I went, cuddled and stroked her arm, and she so beautifully woke up anxiety, even though she woke up kind of nice at first, and then she got that anxious mode. And instead of me saying, now, darling, please start the day, blah, 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 I just let her be. I just said, please don't start the day angry, start with joy, and just let her be after that. I didn't follow up, I didn't do anything else, and she came out of it herself. And then I was able to, my other daughter didn't take up the garbage because we'd had a lot of snow, and we thought maybe they're not doing it because it was a holiday, and then felt this feeling of, she texted me and said, hey, I'm seeing garbage cans, and I'm like, okay, I'll take it up. And instead of being mad at me, like, why don't they do their jobs? I just took it up. And that, because I took it up with my son to go to the bus, I thought, oh, I'll put down some snow melt, oh, and I'll do this. And I had him help me, and we were laughing, and it was joyful. And I said, wow, what a little man you are, and look what a helper. And he felt so happy. So all of these little things of joy, I came back in and I thought, I'm going to have a little cup of this herbal tea, and I don't usually make time for it. And then I thought, I'm going to have a nice little breakfast, and I've got these little low-carb pancakes, and I thought, I'm going to take time for that. And I did. And I thought, I'm going to take time to have a hot shower. Now, as a mom, you know what that means. A hot shower, oh my word. Kept it short, but I still had a hot shower. And I was able to find some lavender body wash that I didn't think we had. So it sounds so small and so inconsequential, but each one of these joy choices has filled my soul. And I thought, I'm going to get dressed for the day instead of schlepping around in my pajamas. And I actually put on a pair of jeans I hadn't put on since I had bought them a while back, and they fit great. They fit awesome. And you know how you're walking around? Great. You felt so great. And I was glad because a few minutes before I had stepped on the scale, and that was not a joyful moment. And I realized joy choices do not include the scale, because that is not a joyful thing. So what was great is when I put on those jeans and I went, hey, joy restored. So I put that on, walking around feeling like, what would bring me joy? So the point that I'm making is, I realized one of the things I want to do for myself this week, and I'm now sharing it with you, is take the joy challenge. I literally sat down and wrote. I have written in my little journal. I started writing on the back end of it, the opposite side, so not where I'm writing in my journal, but I started writing down my joys. Started writing down what they were this morning. And then I started with the joy drainers. And the first thing was non-working tech, which drives me crazy. So that's a joy drainer. But I started writing down my joys this morning and just saying, I'm doing a little bit of an experiment this morning. I'm taking this joy challenge and I'm going to make it a little scientific. And I'm going to write down the joys that I'm feeling and the epiphanies that I'm having about this. And I have to tell you, my daughter came home early from school because she has a break in class. We were talking about this very thing, and she said she had experienced that where she was looking for kind of tender mercies. We have both had this wonderful morning. It's been fulfilling. I'm still getting stuff done that needs to be done, but it's in a paced and joyful and filling way. I don't know how else to describe it. So I am excited. I am going to continue this joy challenge. So I am challenging you. Take the joy challenge to seek and savor. And because already this morning I can see the power of seeking and savoring the joy, I've already added on a new sticky note. I took out the old one and put on seek, savor, and share the joy, because you cannot experience true joy without wanting to share it. That is another of my epiphanies. You really can't. That is true joy. You want to reach out to others and you want to say, oh, I had this wonderful feeling, and how can I do this for you? So even if it's 24 hours, even if it's 1 hour, you're like, I can only do joy for 1 hour, and then after that, I'm back to the Wicked Witch of the West. Whatever it is, do an hour, do a day, do a week. I'm going to do 7 days because I'm really liking how this feels. So I'm going to do this joy challenge. Take it with me. I encourage you. Encourage your friends. Say, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do a joy challenge. And I can promise you that when you do that, you will literally spread joy to others without even being intentional. When I took my son up to the bus driver stopped for a minute. We've had a ton of snow. We live in the woods. And she said, yeah, it was tough getting up here. And she said, you know, one of the neighbors up there is kind of in this neighborhood. He's a little grumpy. And he was kind of giving me grief about making stops for the kids and stuff with the snow and everything. And instead of it spiraling down to a negative conversation, we laughed. I laughed and I said, I know that sweet neighbor. And don't you just go, love you, smile and love you, and go about your day. And she laughed. She said, that's right, love you. And so she left with a smile. I left with a smile, moved on in our day. And wasn't that glorious? So the joy challenge is not to go off to Gandhi and find this amazing joy. It's finding it right here on a really nice fitting pair of jeans that actually keeps in all the ooze. It's a joy. It is a joy. It is a joy to have a nice hot cup of chamomile tea. It is a nice joy to be able to think of doing something sweet for your family without feeling that I must do service. It's just these simple joys. So I encourage you, lock arms, pinky swear with me, and take the joy challenge. So post below that you are taking the challenge, and I will not check up on you, but you know, the eye in the sky knows. But take the joy challenge and tell me how it works for you. Tell me how it feels. Do something to seek, savor, or share, or if you want to, all three, to do something joyful and seek it, savor it, and share it throughout your day. Okay? And then let me know how it goes. I'm excited to see. And I will keep you posted on what I am learning and experiencing also. Hopefully it involves something delicious. All right. I love you ladies. Keep me posted.